What's up, everyone? It's Ed from Barstarzz. I'm here with Dr. Sean from Active Life.
That's right. That's right. I forgot that's our camera, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just had a session. My shoulder feels instantly better, and I really believe in his method. And I felt like we spoke, and he's decided to share some of the stuff you guys have a problem with. So just comment as it comes, and Dr. Sean will answer it within 20 minutes. After that, we have to go eat lunch. So I'm using the second phone to read your comments, by the way, guys.
Keeping profesh.
Speak up, please. Is this good?
Was it me or was it you?
Oh, yeah.
Most people tell me I'm too loud.
What's up, guys? Ever tried cupping? What's your opinion on cupping?
Oh, man. The girl in the gym right now, she's an acupuncturist, so she's not a huge fan of my opinion of cupping. But I haven't been convinced that it's the best way to go ahead and treat something, right? I don't fully understand how they say that it works, so I would never knock it and say that it doesn't. What I would say is I'm more after a measurable, treatable response that we can say we treated it like we did with your shoulder today,
Yeah.
and then measure the range of motion afterwards and say, okay, it's better. And then when you come back in next time, we measure it again and say, it's still better. That's how I know it worked, where something like cupping, I can't get that same kind of control, so...
Well, you ever tried like cupping a certain situation and then measuring the progress as far as the same way we just
it's inconsistent.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't mean it doesn't work. You know, like if I ate a salad for lunch instead of a cotton candy and a hot dog, I don't immediately weigh less. So it doesn't mean that I had a healthier, you don't need to be able to measure that to know it's healthier. But I'm just, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm all about, I want to see it, I want to feel it, I want to measure it.
Yeah. Perfect. How would you help a heel or rotator cuff injury? It's a very broad question, right?
It's an extremely broad question. But that's okay. It's one of the things that we like to talk about in healing any injury is the diagnosis. I mean, the treatment needs to fit the diagnosis, right? So, you came in here today and we found out you have your rotator cuff injuries on your left, right? Your shoulder injuries on your left. And we found out that your left arm was stronger than your right in some things, right?
Yeah.
So the problem with a blanket answer to that is some people will say, oh, we got to strengthen the muscles around it and do this and do that. In your case, that's not really necessarily the case. We got to get your right arm to be as strong as your left so that when you use them together, your left arm is able to do less work. So it really depends on what the rotator cuff injury is. Is that a fair answer for whoever's out there?
I think that's fair. I think, it's such a broad... So many things could be wrong with your rotator cuff. You can't really just say...
Right.
Yeah, I think that was great.
Okay. How am I doing for my audience? Do you guys agree with that? Better agree with that.
Is it better to stretch before you work out or after?
Is it better or is it bad? What was the question?
Would it be better to stretch beforehand or after?
So I like dynamic warm-ups. What that means is I'm taking a joint through a range of motion, out of that range of motion, so in and out, right? If I was going to be doing pull-ups or push-ups, I'm going to be trying to make pull-ups or push-ups a little bit easier before I do them. Arm swings, overhead, right, front to back. I don't want to smack you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to start a fight in the office. I would do that kind of stuff before, and then after is when, if I'm going to do static stretching, that's when I would build that kind of stuff in.
Where in Island Park, Long Island, is this place?
Right in the middle. It's a really small town. So it's on Austin Boulevard. If you take the train like Ed did today, what are we, like a 3-minute walk from the train station?
Yeah, if even.
If you strut from the train station, it's 3 minutes.
All right, guys, we're only answering your rehab questions because we have Dr. Sean here today. So the calisthenic questions, scale it back for the next live.
They can ask me non-rehab questions if they want. Like, my favorite food is lobster, right? I'll eat steak from time to time, but yeah.
How to rehab and strengthen for a cervical disc degeneration?
That's a great question. So, again, you're never going to fix the disc itself, right? So think about a disc like a jelly donut. If I smack the table and squeeze the jelly out, there's no putting the jelly back in the donut, right? But what we can do is we can strengthen the muscles of the shoulder, make sure the range of motion in the shoulder is better so that we're not doing all of this every time we move our arm, right? Because if I bring my arm over my head like this, it's one thing. If I bring it up like this, it's something totally different, but my arm ends up in the same place. So making sure the shoulders are really healthy, right? And then an exercise that we have on our YouTube channel called quadruped cervical flexion. Basically, you get down on all fours. You bring your chin all the way to your chest, and you try to drag it up your neck. That's something that we like to give to people who have some cervical disc degeneration who can tolerate it.
Can you explain what a cervical disc degeneration is for?
Yeah, so
I think most people.
So cervical is the top 7 bones in your spine, right? Right below your skull, you have 7 bones in a row. They're your C1, C2, C3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cervical vertebrae, right? Between C2 and C3, C3 and C4, between all of them, there's a shock absorber that I like to describe as a jelly donut because that's basically what it is. The outside is this cartilage structure, the inside is jelly. And when you lose some of the fluid from the inside, it starts to kind of shrivel up and degenerate. And that's what a degenerative disc is. So now when you look at it on an X-ray, there might be less space between 2 bones. You look at an MRI, there's definitely less space. The color of the disc is not the same as the other ones.
Got it.
Right? Can you guys see the whiteboard? Because I can draw you one.
Yeah, they can see it.
Should I draw it?
Yeah, in the meantime, while I look for the next question.
Sure. You look for the next question. I'll draw a disc.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of you guys should put a Spider-Man costume for the workout.
A Spider-Man costume?
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a Spider-Man. I'm not good enough to wear a Spider-Man costume. All right. Get that off of there. So, a disc, right? The inside here, that's going to be jelly. It's really like as thick as jelly, like jelly with even a little bit of water in it. It's not very thick at all. The outside is these rings of cartilage. Now what happens is when you injure your disc, this jelly will come squirting through. It cuts through the cartilage and it can live out here. That's what we call a herniated disc, right? And then over time, your body will either get rid of this or it won't, but either way, if we're looking at the same disc from the side, maybe it used to be this tall, like a jelly donut, it's that thick, and now because it's lost the fluid inside, it's only going to be that thick. So the space between the 2 bones, right, if we draw a bone in a different color, the space between these 2 bones is this much. The space between these 2 bones, which are the same 2 bones, is only this much. Right, so this one's more likely to deal with some injury than this one. Is that a good answer?
Yeah. So should you be concerned if you have a knot in your shoulder? And if so, how do you get rid of it?
Should you be concerned if you have a knot in your shoulder? And if so, how do you get rid of it? A knot in your shoulder is usually going to be secondary. And what I mean by that is it's not the problem, it's a symptom of the problem. Right? Should you be concerned? Yeah, but not nervous. Worrying never helps anything. Right? Getting worried and panicking never helps. I have a friend who, one of the coaches at his gym teaches self-defense. He took the panic button on his car remote and he scratched off the word panic. He's like, that's never a good thing to do. Why would that be on my remote control? Right? But so the point is, if you have discomfort in the shoulder or not in the shoulder, it's something you want to be aware of. But treating that, going to get a massage to get the knots out, they're just going to come back. Right? So figuring out why you have it in the first place, the kind of exam I put you through, that's how we figure out how they get there, and then we get rid of them for the long term.
Can you speak briefly how someone could examine how could have they gotten the knot? Like, what should they look at?
Sure. So they can check out our movement screen on our YouTube channel. If you go to youtube.com/theactivelife and search out movement screen, we show how to go through a full body range of motion testing by yourself with a camera with a friend. We get probably 20 movement screen emails every day, people asking us to review them. And, we send them into our program and stuff, but they get the review that they're looking for. But if you're able to do that full movement screen, your flexibility and your mobility are fine. So it's not a flexibility or mobility issue. Then we have on our website, performancecarerx.com, they can go and take our strength tests, like I put you through today, and see if they're strength deficient. So if it's one of those 2 things, we can help them. If it's not one of those 2 things, we are usually referring them to somebody else.
So YouTube,
youtube.com/theactivelife.
And take the test.
Take the movement screen. Just search out movement screen, yeah.
I have an athlete that has pain in a weighted squat, but only at the top and in the groin area. She says it doesn't hurt doing unweighted squats. I cannot figure out what's going on. Any ideas?
I have a lot more questions than I have answers for that one. Right, we need to know, and you can ask them to give us a follow-up if they want, but is she having any trouble? Is she losing any kind of bladder control? Did she recently have any kids in the last year or 2 years? How long has this been going on for? Does the pain ever radiate down her leg? Does anything else cause the same symptom? Right, a lot of questions there. The thing I'm thinking about at first is either a lumbar disc, which is the same thing we talked about, but in the lower back.
Yeah.
Or just a legitimate groin strain, like a hard groin strain.
This one, I'm not sure if this is up your alley.
Does he know anything about leg length discrepancies in the surgery involved, whether one can participate in sports after having the surgery? Yeah, that is an invasive surgery. What I mean by that is they actually...
Well, let's read the question out loud real quick.
Okay,
so he asks, does he know anything about leg length discrepancies and the surgery involved, whether or not one can participate in sports after having the surgery?
Right. So, first of all, before I answer that, guys who are asking questions on my page, go to, what is it, Barstarzz? Or
At Barstarzz.
Go to @Barstarzz and ask those same questions there. I'm going to be answering questions that come in through Ed's Instagram today. So the question is, and by the way, follow him while you're there. Yeah, that's an invasive surgery. They physically cut your bone. They change the shape of your bone, the length of your bone. Can you get back to playing sports afterwards? Yes. Depending on how old you are. Right? You can always get back to it, but it's how back to it are you really going to get? Are you going to be the athlete that you once were? Maybe, maybe not. You definitely have to be ready to make some changes to the way that you move after that.
I have a friend who has one arm is different than the other, and he needs a surgery, but he's been prolonging it because he's really good at some calisthenic moves now, and he's worried that through the surgery, at the end of it, he won't be able to bounce back.
What's the surgery they're saying he needs?
I don't know. Definitely, it's definitely a one arm. The bone structure of the arm itself is not the same as the other.
Got it. I mean, we see that
I think
all
it
the time.
broke and it healed differently.
Yeah. We have a coach in our gym who, when he was 4 years old, his elbow dislocated, and they never reset it. So now, 40 years later, he's dealing with a bone that just will never go back into the same place. He can't extend his elbow all the way, right? But you can get surgery for it, but even in his case, it's not even surgical. It's past that. So you want to be careful. Your friend should be careful that he doesn't do more damage now that makes his condition not even fixable through surgery.
So you think he should get the surgery now?
I don't know. I haven't met your friend. I haven't seen the problem, but he should be asking the doctors who make that decision if he's at risk for making it even worse.
Since a motorcycle accident, my head is kind of hanging on the front like a smartphone neck, and my shoulders came to the front too. What should I do? The doctor said it's also because of lack of the trap.
You went to see a chiropractor, didn't you? This guy. So what happened in this instance is someone got into a car accident. They went to the doctor. They took an Xray, and they showed that instead of his neck, I'm going to draw it, right? Instead of his neck sitting nice and straight.
I'm getting a lot of hearts, yo. Thank guys.
Hey, follow me while you're there too, then.
Yeah, of course. What's your Instagram?
Active Life RX.
So.
Active Life RX. It's right here.
Yeah, you should put it here.
I probably should have put this somewhere else on the board.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, let's lower it. Sorry, guys. This is what happens on live TV. We make mistakes.
How much time we been on live? You know? I got a TFCC tear.
So we'll get to that. So what they're talking about with this guy with the neck, the spine is supposed to sit like this. When you look at an X-ray, right? You're looking at the neck. It should be a C that goes back this way. What his doctor probably told him is that his neck is doing this instead. Right? And this is where his head is sitting. So normal head sits there, his head's sitting there. So now it's cell phone neck, right? This is the next part of his spine, whatever. I'm exaggerating it. Okay, this is an exaggeration, but it's what we call forward head carriage, kind of being like this. the problem with getting an X-ray diagnosis like that is X-rays are a moment in time. And what I mean by that is you take an X-ray and, oh yeah, your head's sitting forward. Was it sitting forward yesterday? Before I got in a car accident?
Yeah.
Probably, right? And I didn't have pain from it. And then, okay, great, so my head sits forward. Now you're going to adjust me, you're going to do whatever work you're going to do. And I'm supposed to be out of pain when my head's no longer sitting forward, because that's what you're saying my problem is. Then you better reevaluate and take another X-ray in 6 or 8 weeks and see if my head's sitting any further backwards. Otherwise, your diagnosis was nonsense, right? So the other thing about X-rays, moment in time. If I drive over the Brooklyn Bridge at 2:30 in the morning on a Tuesday, is it going to be jam-packed with traffic? No. What if so is it safe to say no one drives on the Brooklyn Bridge?
No.
Right. So the time we take the X-ray, the position the person's in when the X-ray is being taken, it all has to be taken into consideration. The only findings you guys should be listening to on an X-ray as any kind of valid, relevant thing. Do you have a disease process? Is there a fracture? Is there a dislocation? No? Great. Done.
That's a good point, because whenever I know my posture is being examined, I instantly get better posture. It's like, hey, let's check your neck. I'm like, oh.
You want to pass the test.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's normal.
I got a TFCC tear in my wrist 2 years ago. I worked through the pain, did a lot of stretching, and it feels a lot better, but the pain still comes and goes. What should I do? What's a TFCC tear?
It's a tear in the cartilage that lives in the wrist. So what they're dealing with is a real pain in the wrist to come back from. It's going to be a load management thing. You know what that means is basically when you tear that, the way that the wrist works is never really 100% the same. So it comes down to they're going to have good days and bad days based on kind of what we were talking about before, right? How's your sleep? How's your diet? What's your stress like? You know, how much are you using it? All those things, when you put that all together, that's the stuff that's going to impact how they're feeling. So it becomes a load management issue. So the answer to you is start journaling what you're eating, how much you're sleeping, when you're feeling pain, and start to look for patterns. Instead of just assuming, oh, good day, bad day, start to measure it. See what causes a good day, what causes a bad day.
Someone with a degenerative disc, what is the best way to recover?
We covered that a little bit earlier. The disc is not going to recover. So it's making sure that you're strong around that disc, making sure that everything else works well. Right? The shoulders move well, the hips move well wherever the disc is. Make sure that the joints closest to it are really healthy.
Over-the-counter recommendations for sore muscles and joints.
Not my specialty. Come see me. A lot of water.
What do you have any opinion on, let's say, supplements as far as like tendon health, like collagen, glucosamine? Do you think they work, don't work? Or?
Yeah, they're not bad, but the problem with a question like that is it's looking in the wrong places, right? That question says, hey, if I don't want to do everything else right, how can I still not feel terrible? How can I kind of cheat my body? What supplement can I take so I don't have to eat healthy? What supplement can I take so I don't have to go get treatment? What supplement can I take so that I can stop working out in a way that makes sense? Supplements are great, but they're supplementary to doing everything else right. When everything else doesn't work, add a supplement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Fish oil. I like fish oil. I like creatine. I like protein. Those are the 3 things that I'm going to tell most people to take. As far as the other stuff goes, glucosamine is fine. But again, difficult to measure.
Oh, we got so many questions.
That's good.
When injured, when do you decide to go to a doctor? Because the way some people's insurance is set up, it's the last thing you want to do.
I get that. I understand that.
I'm actually in the same boat, guys.
Yeah. Listen, most people who come here are in that boat because we don't take most insurance plans. And the insurance plans that we do take, actually, United Healthcare, Oxford, and the Empire plan, that's it. Those 3. United Healthcare and Oxford just told us, hey guys, no big deal. We're giving you a 33% pay cut.
Wow.
You don't have to stay with us if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Right? So like, okay, you get your results, you feel better, instead of spending $20 1,000 times. Hope you guys listen, because we talk about, it's backwards. We talk about value all the time.
All right, this is the last question, guys. And if you guys, before we take the last question, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want you guys to follow Dr. Sean at Active Life RX. And
it's written backwards on the Instagram.
Active Life RX. I'll well, if you guys are watching, please comment, write out Active Life RX for us a couple times so everyone else can see it. And he has this clinic here in Long Island, New York.
Island Park. Yeah,
Island Park.
So Long Island is anything that is not everything east of the city is Long Island.
Yeah.
And you Brooklyn people, you're attached. No, Brooklyn's not.
Queens.
Queens people, you're on Long Island. They're not. They're on Long Island. They don't want to be. They want to think they're in the city, but
yeah,
you're Long Island.
It's classic New York. Like if you're outside of the city, you're upstate.
Yep.
Unless you're Long Island, then you're Long Island.
Yeah. Yep.
Very biased to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And check out their YouTube channel. And we filmed the video today. I'm gonna share that with you guys as soon as it's out. And
filmed a few videos today.
Yeah. All right. So the last question. I can't extend my right wrist. I feel a lot of pain there while I tuck planche, which is the maneuver we're working with earlier.
The one I was getting my ass kicked by.
But there's no problem with the left one. What can I do?
We should probably take one more question because the answer to that one is I don't know. You know, it depends. But usually, I imagine that's either something that's fairly new or the person who wrote that question has had that problem for a while and they haven't rested it. Usually with the wrists, it's rest or find a good doctor. You do not want to mess with your wrists, right? Like we were talking to Yoli earlier about what's going on with her wrists, and through examination I can give her good advice, but without examination we can send that person for a real bad day. Rest.
Oh, this sounds depressing. He has a bicep tendon rupture.
Oh, he asked a question on here too. Go ahead.
Any way to recover any faster?
Yeah, really good. That's a good question. Any injury it's the same answer for any injury. Really good diet, and if you're not measuring your foods, your diet's not really good. Flat out, it could be better.
What would you describe as a really good diet for recovery?
Well, it depends on what their body needs, but they need to be measuring their food. So they need to be getting the right amount of macronutrients, right? The right amount of carbohydrate, protein.
Is there a certain split you recommend?
Depends on the person. Depends on their activity level. Depends on their body weight. Depends on their body mass. What I can say is I'd recommend them to people. I have diet coaches who I recommend to all the time. Right. One of them is her name is Sarah. Sarah's company is, I want to say, Eat This, Lift That, or Lift This, Eat That. I can't remember which one it is. But Sarah Pierce, you can look her up. She's 3 Sarah Tops. That's her Instagram. And then another one is Working Against Gravity. So WAG, W-A-G. They'll be better at this than me at giving that advice, but really good diet. Sleep is so underrated. If you guys have a workout that's 2 hours long, scheduled for tomorrow, and you're going to bed and you only have 6 hours to sleep for 7, work out for 1. You're going to get better results, right? And make sure your stress is down. Handle everything you can. Control what's in your control. Leave everything else out for the world. That's how you're going to recover the fastest.
Describe some of the common stresses people go through.
Work, girlfriend, life. You know, like, oh, I hope Ed's not mad at me for whatever. You can't control if Ed is mad at you for doing what you do. You can talk to Ed, try to have a better relationship with him, but you can't control it, right? I don't make enough money at my job. Then quit your job and go get a different one.
All that eats away at your health.
Sure.
Even to a physical aspect.
Yeah, we have patients who... I have a patient who I was seeing who... she had back pain for 5 years, right? Came to me. We're working together for 5 months. I couldn't get rid of her back pain. It was supremely frustrating for me because it doesn't usually take me 5 months to help somebody. We're talking about 1 month. You should be where you want to go. She went on vacation. She's hiking through the glaciers in Alaska wearing a 50-pound backpack 8 hours a day, and her back pain went away. She came home. Her pain came back, and it became very clear it was a stress situation. Her pain was directly related to stress. So got her hooked up with a psychologist, and she's doing much better.
After meeting a psychologist?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. Sometimes you're not the right person.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow Active Life RX and contact us if you want us to do another one and let us know if this helped you or not.
Oh, we'll do another one. As long as Ed will come back.
Of course. I'm going to save the video and try to upload it on Facebook later in this week. So I know a couple of you guys said it froze for you. So check it out on Barstarzz Facebook page. Not sure when, but soon.
And I'll ask Ed how to do that. And I'll do it for you guys too.
Perfect. Peace.
Right. Thanks, guys. Ed looks too chill to get mad, is what one of my people said.